Hi guys, this is FLN 8 nets and surface area of rectangular prisms. There are more surface area nets on this FLN, but to get started we're going to work on the surface area of a rectangular prism. So I'm not going to go over all the nets that are listed on this because I know you guys are all diligently working on your nets for your project. But basically, just a quick review, a net is when you take a three-dimensional object and you flatten it out into all the parts. So this is a rectangular prism, meaning that the perpendicular or parallel faces are rectangles. And when you break this apart, you have a net that looks like this. So what I have is I have a big front face here and a big front face down here. These are the big two faces. Then I have the sides, these sides here. And lastly, I have the two ends, this end and this end. Does that make sense? So this is the net of a rectangular prism. I would like you to look at the other nets, but you don't have to make them. Just know that they exist because I know you guys are working on your project. So I would like to apologize for the video quality. We have lost our cameraman. Hopefully we'll get her back, but for subsequent videos, but we don't have her for this one. So here's the first example. This is a rectangular prism that we are going to break into its subsequent net. So when I take this rectangular prism, I can break it into its net where I have this top part here, which is the big square, right? And then I have the two sides here and here, and then the top or the bottom, this big bottom face down here. And then I have these other two sides on opposite ends that close down to create the final prism. So that is what your net should look like when you break this apart, okay? So I'm taking this big piece up here, this piece down here, then I'm going to take these two sides, it's going to be kind of hard to see here, that hold those two together, okay? I've got my sides. And then the third color, I have the last two. So we have 6 faces all together. And they've given us the different dimensions. So I know that this length here is 5, right? They're telling me this length here is 4, and this small length here is 1.5. And you know that if this is 1.5 and these two meet, that this is also 1.5, okay? So that is how we draw the net for a rectangular prism. Okay, now that we know the dimensions, we can go across the entire length and know that all of these are the length 4, okay? And we're just using generic units here, so these are 4 units. We also know that if this is 5 units, this is 5 units. If this is 1.5 units, this is 1.5 units. If this section right here is 1.5 units, this is 1.5 units, as well as this is 1.5 units. If this helps you look at this in a different way, then that is great. You do not have to label it that in depth if it doesn't. But now what we want to do is calculate the area of all the different rectangles. So this rectangle here is going to be base times height, and we have 4 times 5 is base times height, and that is 20. This as well is base times height, and these two are congruent rectangles because they both are exactly have the same dimensions. So this is 5 times 4, this is also 20. Now let's calculate these two. This is also base times height. I have base times height, which is 5 times 1.5. And 5 times 1.5 is 7.5. So this area up here is going to be 7.5. And this last one is 4 times 1.5. And 4 times 1.5 is 6. And let's remember these are all square units, okay? So square units abound. Now I just add up the difference. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot this one. The area here as well is 4 times 1.5, okay, which is 6. Now I just take into account all the different units. I have this area of the two sides here, so area total is going to be 20 plus 20. So I took care of these two. Let's do the top and bottom, plus 7.5 plus 7.5 plus these two sides, plus 6 plus 6. Am I still on the screen? Now that I have calculated the surface area of all the different faces of my net, I can then go in and add them up like we were doing here. So I have 20 plus 20 plus 7.5 plus 7.5 plus 6 plus 6. And we have to remember, when adding decimals, we need to line up the decimal points. And we can always put a 0.0 at the end of something, right? I know, those of you who know me are waiting for my arithmetic error, as am I, but I have a cut and paste option on these videos, so good luck. All right, so first I add up this side, I get a 10, so I bring down a 0.0 and carry a 1. Now I have 7 plus 7, which is 14, and 6 plus 6, which is 12. 14 plus 12 is 26, plus 1 is 27. And now I have 2, 4, 6, 67 square units. Square units is the surface area of the total, or the total surface area of this net, or the total surface area of my prism. So some of you might be asking, why is this important? Well, it's actually quite useful for many things. Let's say you're trying to paint a fence or paint a room or wallpaper a room. You'd need to calculate surface area of the entire room. Also, what if you're trying to wrap a gift or use fabric to create something, a pillow or something that you needed to know the signs? Surface area helps with that as well. And sometimes so for all of these, I want you guys to remember, for all your nets, these are the formulas you're going to need. Area of a rectangle, base times height. Area of a triangle, 1/2 base times height. Here's my triangle. An area of a circle. The area of a circle is when we have a cylinder, okay? A cylinder that you break apart. And I don't think the con has any cylinders at this point, but when we start calculating volume, which is really important when you calculate the amount of stuff in Coke cans and soup, then you'll need the area of a cylinder. So for area of a cylinder, I have my rectangle and then my two circles. So you need to remember the area of a circle is the area of a circle is pi r squared. All right, give the con a try. Talk to you soon.